There it is, again. Same mistake, same road, same regret. You tell yourself it's bad luck, wrong time, unfair world. But deep down, you know, it's not the rock, it's how you walk. It's not fate, it's habit. The pattern doesn't come from outside, it lives in you. Beneath your excuses, behind your reactions, under every "I didn't mean to," and still, you keep going back. To what hurt, to what broke, to what already failed. Why? The Stoics didn't wait for life to change, they changed themselves. They didn't fear the fall, they feared staying blind. So don't blame the stone. Don't curse the road. Don't ask why it keeps happening. Ask why you keep choosing it. Because until something inside you shifts, nothing around you ever will. And maybe this time, you're done pretending. Let's break the loop. From the inside, you keep looking out there, blaming the noise, the people, the world. But the real storm isn't outside, it's inside, unseen, unspoken. That's why the same mistake keeps coming back. Because the source never left. It just changed shape. The Stoics said, if you don't look within, you'll always be a stranger to your own life. You'll keep fixing the mirror without wiping your own face. You'll keep replacing people, but not the patterns. You'll keep waiting for life to shift, but never check if it's you that needs to move. Most don't want to look inward because it's messy, it's loud. It's full of truths that don't flatter. But that's where the pattern lives. That's where the loop hides. You don't break cycles by blaming. You break them by seeing, owning, pausing. So stop running from the reflection. Sit with it, study it, question it. Because until you look inside, you'll keep stepping on the same stone, with the same foot, in the same way, and call it fate. It's easier to blame the timing, blame the people, blame the pressure, blame anything. But you. Because if it's not your fault, you don't have to change. That's the trap. Blame protects the ego, but it also protects the problem. It keeps it safe, wrapped in justification, shielded by excuses. You say, I had no choice, it just happened, I didn't mean to. But every time you point out, you give away the one thing that could save you: accountability. The Stoics never blamed the storm. They trained their sails. They didn't curse the sea. They studied the map. Because when you own the mistake, you gain the power to stop repeating it. But when you blame, you stay the same. So ask yourself, what am I still blaming, just to avoid becoming who I need to be? And if you're tired of the same pain, drop the blame. Hold the truth. Move. No one's coming to rescue you from the patterns you keep protecting. You know it's wrong, you feel it, before it even begins. But you do it anyway, then justify, then explain. Then smile through the crack in your voice, hoping no one sees. The truth, you saw it. Long before the mistake happened, you just didn't want to face it. Because truth doesn't whisper, it stares, it waits, and it never softens. It tells you, this will cost you. This is the same mistake, this isn't who you are. But you don't listen. Not because you can't, because you're not ready to admit what that truth would demand. Change, boundaries, sacrifice, realignment. The Stoics didn't fear truth. They invited it, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. Because truth is not the enemy, denial is. So ask yourself, what truth are you pretending not to know? What have you silenced just to stay comfortable in the lie? Because silence doesn't make truth disappear. It just gives it more time to turn into pain. If you want to stop repeating, stop hiding. Truth isn't cruel, it's the first step out. Your brain doesn't want what's right, it wants what's familiar. Even if it hurts, even if it fails, even if it broke you last time. Because the brain doesn't chase truth, it chases patterns. Known paths, safe loops, and nothing feels safer than what you've already survived. That's why you go back, to the person, to the habit, to the cycle. Not because it's good, but because it's known, predictable, safe. But here's the truth. Safety isn't peace. Repetition isn't healing. And comfort can be a trap. The Stoics knew the path of virtue isn't always easy. It's not soft, it's not painless, but it's true. And truth often lives just outside the line your brain fears to cross. So don't trust the pull just because it feels familiar. Test it, challenge it, step beyond it. Because if you only move where your fear feels quiet, you'll never go anywhere new. And nothing changes until you do. The loop ends where discomfort begins. This time, it'll be different. But will it? Same person, same habit, same hole, same you. Hope is a beautiful thing. But when it replaces this action, it becomes denial. Because you can't rewrite the ending if you never change the script. And still, you try again. Not from strength, but from fear of letting go. You tell yourself, I've changed. They've changed. This time I know better. But if you knew better, you'd do different. And that's the test. The Stoics didn't bet on chance, they bet on character. Choice, discipline. If nothing in you shifts, nothing around you will either. The loop doesn't break with a second chance. It breaks with a different you. So before you say this time, look closely. Have you really changed? Or just convinced yourself that the fire won't burn you a third time? Because the fire hasn't changed. You have to. You didn't decide. You reacted too fast. Too emotional. Too loud inside to hear what was true. Most mistakes don't come from ignorance. They come from speed. No pause, no breath, no space between trigger and response. The Stoics lived in that space. The pause, the gap, the stillness before the storm. Because in that silence, you choose. Without it, you just repeat. Old patterns, old instincts, old noise. You yell because it's easier than explaining. You run because it's faster than staying. You choose familiar pain because it's quicker than building new peace. But nothing good moves that fast. Wisdom walks, discipline breathes, truth waits. So next time you feel the heat rise, don't speak, don't click, don't move. Just pause. Long enough to notice, is this you or the old loop again? Because the cost of reaction is another mistake you already made, and regret is just the price of moving too fast. You felt first, then acted, then thought. Too late. That's the order of regret. Emotion leads, reason trails, damage follows, and you know the moment. Heart pounding, words rising, hands typing faster than your breath. You weren't in control. The feeling was anger, fear, loneliness. Whatever it was, it took the wheel, and your mind just sat in the back and watched. The Stoics warned us, let emotions inform you, but never command you. Feel the heat, but don't throw the fire. Feel the pull, but don't move until it's your choice. Because most mistakes don't come from evil. They come from reactivity, from letting the moment decide for you instead of the person you want to become. So pause, breathe, ask, is this me or just the storm inside me? Because once emotion fades, you're left with what you did. And if you keep letting feelings lead, you'll keep ending up where you never meant to go. You didn't choose it, it just happened. The message, the answer, the way your voice rose, the way you shut down, it felt automatic, because it was. Most mistakes aren't conscious, they're code, written deep, run on loop. The Stoics called it habit, unquestioned, unchallenged, unseen. You act not from will, but from memory. From the same script you never edited. From reactions built long ago that still run today. It's not that you're weak, it's that your defaults are outdated. And unless you rewrite the program, you'll keep running the same failure flawlessly. So start noticing. Where does your mind go when it's not thinking? What do your hands reach for when they're not choosing? What pattern repeats when you're too tired to fight? That's your real life. Not what you say, not what you plan, but what you do without trying. Until you face your autopilot, you'll never fly different. Awareness is the first break. Disruption is the first act. Then slowly, you rebuild the system. Not to be perfect, but to stop living like a machine you didn't program. Because choice only begins when pattern ends. Pain doesn't teach. Reflection does. You felt it before. The shame, the sting, the silence after it breaks again. And still, you go back. Not because you like pain, but because you didn't learn from it. The Stoics never asked, why is this happening to me? They asked, what is this trying to teach me? Because experience isn't growth. Evaluated experience is. If you don't pause, don't ask, don't study the cut, it becomes a scar with no lesson. You call it bad luck. but it's bad memory, bad thinking, bad pattern, left untouched. So sit with the moment, write it out, name it, track it, own it. Because if you don't learn from pain, you'll pay for it again, and next time it'll cost more. Wisdom doesn't come from age each, it comes from attention. And your mistakes, they've been speaking, but were you listening? If not, they'll speak louder. You're not trapped in your past, you're trapped in your story about it. The way you repeat it to others, to yourself, to the mirror at 2 a.m., the villain, the failure, the why does this always happen to me? It becomes script, and scripts get acted. Not questioned, not challenged, just lived. You make choices from that story. You expect pain from that story. You become that story. And so the mistake returns, not because fate demands it, but because you keep casting yourself in the same role. The Stoics didn't live in their wounds, they lived in their response. They rewrote the meaning, they reframed the failure. They said, this is what happened, now what will I do with it? Because you're not what hurt you. You're not what left. You're not what failed. You are what you build next. So drop the old script, burn the role, let go of the version of you who keeps replaying chapter 1, and write something new. Because the story that controls you only exists if you keep telling it. It wasn't fate, it wasn't bad luck, it wasn't them. It was you, on repeat, unaware, unchanged. But now you see it. And once you see the loop, you can break it. You don't have to keep hurting. You don't have to keep circling. You don't have to keep becoming the version of you that made survival the default. This time, you don't need more chances. You need different choices. This time, you don't need a better outcome. You need a better response. The Stoics didn't wait for life to be different. They made themselves different within the same life. So stop waiting. Stop wishing. Stop rehearsing the next mistake. Step back, look in, and choose again. Not louder, not faster, just deeper. Because when you change, everything else will have no choice but to follow.